So I would like to begin with a verse which is over 2000 years old, and yet it describes our current crisis more accurately than any climate report ever can. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, earth, fire, air, water, space, mind, intellect and ego constitutes of my eightfold illusory energy. Now what fascinates me the most about this verse is the fact that it does not separate the human interior from nature. It states that the ecological damage happening outside us and the psychological damage happening inside us is one and same. Now, modern sustainability, unfortunately, only ever speaks about 4 elements. Everyone wants to save water, everyone wants to save soil, everyone wants to clean the air, and everyone wants to regulate energy, that is Agni. So we completely erased the other elements which I mentioned before. And then we wonder why every single solution we come up with never sticks. Why everything feels so temporary. Why climate action feels like endlessly mopping water from leaking roof. So, as a student of sustainability, I wanted to understand where was it that we went wrong. So I did what anybody would do. I started to go to conferences, I started to read more. And in that way, I understood that you and me, we speak about sustainability because we're afraid. We're afraid that there might be a future where you and me won't be a part of. And then there are indigenous communities. For them, the idea of sustainability comes from the genuine love and care which they hold for their planet. And these very people are the ones who are always excluded from these conferences. So then I started to listen to indigenous knowledge carefully, and I realized that every single system of theirs is built around limits. And that's something which we terribly struggle with. We detest limits. We don't want them in our lives, which is why we struggle so much. So while traveling to this very small village in Jharkhand, I happened to meet this grandma, and she changed my life. I remember she was sitting outside her hut. She was sorting through grains, her hands moving with the ease of decades. She looked up at me and she asked, "Do you know where grains came from?" I said no, and she nodded as if that was expected. I was kind of offended, to be honest. And then she started to narrate this story. She said that long time ago, there used to be this very old couple, and they used to live on forest produce. They wouldn't cultivate land. They would only take what the forest gave them, what the prithvi gave them. One day, after a very tiring work in the woods, they come back home only to find this very strange woman whom they had never seen before, cooking something on their stove, on their chulha. And the moment the woman sees them, she dashes out the door. So, out of curiosity, the couple moves closer to the stove, only to find this weird concoction which they had never seen before. Perhaps it was food. So then the man tells his wife that I will try it first. And if nothing happens, you can try it too. But if something does happen to me, then go to the villagers and tell them that there is somebody out there who is poisoning homes. So they ran outside to find the woman after they tasted the food. And for the first time in their life, they felt strength and fullness. So, breathless and trembling, when they finally did find the woman, they asked her, "What did you prepare for us?" She said, "Anna," grains. And then they asked, "And who are you?" She said, "I'm Annapoorna." But she did not say this like this endless giver of gifts. She asked for something in return. She asked for a basket. And when they bought the basket, she filled it with grains and told them to return this back to the earth at the right time. And she says, that Beta Prithvi is not infinite. She gives, she feeds when respected, and she can easily withdraw when she's crossed. So it is very important to listen to her and understand her limits. And that's what the story was about. It was about understanding limits. You know, a lot of people think and say that our generation, the Generation Z, does not really care. But I don't think that's true. It's just that we are so stuck within our own lives, within the bubbles which we have created, that we don't spend enough time with the earth to understand what is wrong with her. We forget to listen to her. Now the first element which made me realize of this forgetting, and that this forgetting was happening in the world and in my own body, was water. I still remember a few years back, me and my father, we planted several Ayurvedic plants in our village so that the children there would learn their names, feel them, and remember that there was a time when healing grew freely around them. And then one season weak, next season gone. I remember standing in front of the barren land. I felt something rise up to my chest. I was waiting for tears which never came. And what scared me more than the dying plants was the fact that my body and the earth were doing the exact same thing at the same time. The ground was parched and so were my eyes. It's really funny, because that's when I realized that even grief needs water to exist. That is what water really is. Today, the crisis which we go through is not just an ecological one, it is also a cultural one, and most importantly, it is also an emotional one. So I'm from Jharkhand. I live in Mumbai, but mind, soul, body belongs to Jharkhand. And so there's this very small town in Jharkhand known as Jharia. Now, Jharia has been home to coal mines since 1916. What started as a very small ignition today has turned into this uncontrollable fire. People are dying there, their homes are collapsing. They're trying to fight a fire which they cannot see, which they cannot fight with. Everything is dead there. The fourth element, air, thick with fumes. And that is what fire really does. Nobody understands this, that fire does not care if nobody intended for this to happen, if nobody meant for this to happen. It eats from inside out. Then the fifth element, Akash, something sustainability definitely does not speak about. But it's very important for us to understand the importance of it. Akash is that very invisible field which lets earth hold water, water cool fire, fire transform matter, and air carry consequences. This is why in the Gita, Krishna puts Akash before mind, intellect, and ego. Because during the times of crisis, our mind, intellect, and ego starts to normalize it. It starts to repress our memories so that we can protect ourselves. We can reassure ourselves that what is happening right now is not a big deal and that it will go away one day. And I experienced this, the fragment of this basically revolves around Chhau dancers. Now, Chhau is a dance form which is practiced in Jharkhand, Orissa, and Bengal. And through this dance form, people enact out stories of gods, of humans, of plants, of everything. They do not discriminate. And so this dance form is their life. This is their inheritance. This is what keeps them connected to their culture. And yet today, this isn't enough for them to run their livelihoods. So many of them right now are going through this cognitive dissonance, mansik dvand, between who they are and who they are being forced to become. This is the fight with their mind, intellect, and ego. The script you see here is known as Varangshati, and this belongs to this indigenous community known as the Ho tribes. So every single alphabet you see here represents some or the other yogic asana. And these asanas in turn are drawn from natures, elements of natures, like Parvatasan, Parvat meaning mountain, Vrikshasan, Vriksha meaning tree. So these people are so intertwined with nature that nature becomes their guru. These people do not forget like us. They remember the nature because nature is a part of them, because their culture embodies it, unlike us. So sustainability finally is about saving the earth. It's about restoring our relationship with all these elements between who we are and what we are becoming today. And that is a conversation sustainability must be brave enough to have. Thank you.